Gumshoe's motive. It was about a week ago. I saw the detective get chewed out by a livid Faraday in front of the precinct. He stood there, super pale, as Mr. Faraday yelled, "That's a salary cut for you, you nitwit." A brand new detective shouldn't suddenly getting his salary cut. That's reason enough for a grudge. Well, how's that for the perfect explanation? You totally misunderstand me, pal. No matter how mad I get, I can never hold a grudge. Quiet. We can't trust anything you say. Sir? There's nothing wrong with the motive she proposed per se, but there are some gaps in her logic that need to be filled in. Miss Yu's perfect explanation may not be so perfect after all. Was it about a week ago? A week ago? Then you and Detective Gumshoe are acquaintances. No way. I only met him in person today. Well, then how do you know it was him a week ago? And how do you know about Detective Gumshoe? Oh, I've seen him around before, but you just met him. Okay, whatever. Fuck it. So the detective gets shoot out.
Hold it.
Mr. Faraday was upset. Yeah, you know what else? Mr. Faraday isn't exactly known to get angry often. But there was. Totally beat red face. And the offending detective just stood there, pale as a ghost, like he was about to die. Just like the face he's making right now. I'm completely innocent, I tell you. The poor man. It was quite the scene with the detective. He stood there super pale as Mr. That's a salary cut for you, you nitwit. You just stood there watching this unfold in front of you. Yeah, I have to say it was really enjoyable too. But that's why when I saw Detective Gumshoe earlier, I knew to steer clear of him. No way. I thought it was because I had something stuck on my face. But you do. Huh? What I've got stuck on my face? The fucking thing. Let's start with your eyes, nose, mouth. Oh, and those ridiculous eyebrows. Huh? Oh man, messing with your head is just too much fun. Miss Yu, if you don't mind, I'd like to return to your testimony now. Oh, sure, why not? Brand new detective suddenly get. How did you know he was a brand new detective? To cut a new detective salary right off the bat like that. I'm not really familiar with the way you guys relate, but is that a common practice? Like, how much did you know about him without even knowing him? You knew his face, you knew that he was new to the force. I mean, that part's actually more believable. But the fact that you had no idea who it was at all, like, come on now. Not really familiar, common practice. Speaking of cutting my salary, didn't you threaten to do it to me earlier too? Yes, I suppose I did. It's only natural to cut a worthless detective's salary down to their actual worth. My father can even fire anyone, new or old, with a snap of his fingers. Huh. Do you think maybe that's reason enough for detectives to hate you people? Oh, I guess. It really shouldn't cut people's pay. Detective Bad. Don't tell me Mr. Von Karma cut your salary earlier. What's there to fucking do? You call your explanation perfect. Is it not to your liking? Unfortunately for you, it's just not up to my standards. Oh, is there something you want me to clarify in that case? What should I do? Should I raise an objection? Raise an objection! Alright, if you could clear up this one thing for me. Motive for killing Mr. Rell. I understand Detective Gumshoe's potential motive for killing Mr. Faraday. However, what about his motive for killing Mr. Rell? His motive for killing Rell? Like I would know. If there is no clear motive for both of the murders, then I doubt this incident could have occurred. Wouldn't you agree? Is there anyone else you might have had a grudge against, either of the two men? Anyone else? Or should we look into that ourselves? Oh, in that case, I have absolutely no idea. What? That's impossible. She must know something. Wait. Can you please not glare at me like that? It makes me laugh. I didn't even do anything, and you've already laughing it away. Well, anyway, the way I see it, as long as he had a motive to kill one of the two, this crime would have played out the way it did anyway. Oh, would you care to explain your logic? And this time, please try to provide a truly perfect explanation. Perfect this, perfect that. Stop being so uptight, or is that a requisite trait for being a Von Karma? Miles Edgeworth, I demand that you shut this rude woman up. I wish you'd both be quiet for just 1 second. Oh well, I guess I'll just have to explain it to you kids. Nice. Moving on. Motive to kill the men. There's no one out there with a motive to kill both Mr. Faraday and Mr. Rell. All you really have to establish is that someone had a grudge against one of the two men. Mr. Rell, who happened to be there, became a witness to Mr. Faraday's murder. Therefore, he was killed out of necessity to set it up to look like they had killed each other. Why wouldn't he just frame the other guy? He's a fucking, like, criminal or whatever, and dude's a detective. No one's gonna fucking believe that dude. Easy fucking peasy. I wonder if that's really true. Is there no one out there with a grudge against both men? I should take another look at the should take another hard look at the evidence for this morning case. The second KG8 incident, as people are calling it, involving an embassy staff member. And the two men who both wound up as suspects in that case. Is there someone else I'm overlooking who is somehow related to them? Yeah. What's his face? Forgot his name. Sure, let's, can I actually submit this real quick? Sure, Manny Cohen. Let's go. Miss Yu, I believe there is someone you're overlooked in making your statement. Or rather, is it because you'd rather not bring this person up? What do you mean? We're looking for someone with a reason to kill both Mr. Faraday and Mr. Rell. I can think of at least one person that fits the bill. He was a suspect in the original KG8 incident, and a member of the Kodopian embassy staff, Mr. Manny Kochin. That's right, the very man who came to visit you earlier out in the hallway. The man who killed a member of the embassy staff, Mr. Rell, and the man who was the lead prosecutor of the KG8 incident, Mr. Faraday. Are you telling me that Mr. Kochin has no reason at all to kill both of these men? Well, I suppose he might have a reason or two. You cover for me, pal! Maybe you're not such a bad guy after all. Don't get ahead of yourself. You're still a suspect, make no mistake about it. The perfect evidence, the perfect testimony, these are the only things I wish to hold. Well, I didn't do it. You'll stay under my authority and go investigate Mr. Manny Kochin for me. And remember, I will not be very forgiving should any of this leak out. You want to investigate the Kochin? You'd just be wasting your time. Why is that? Kochin was up in the viewing gallery watching the trial. Or so I was told. Every cop in this place has been keeping an eye on the guy since he arrived. And the only real suspect we have is still Detective Gumshoe. I suppose. No way, come on, Detective Bad. You gotta believe me, sir. I really was in the hallway the whole time, sir. I never took a single step into this room, sir. Okay. Are you saying there was someone else who passed through the hallway? No, there's no one else, sir. Why should I believe you didn't do it? That is one incredibly foolish detective. Standing right in front of a crime scene all by himself. It's as good as a confession of guilt. I have to admit it's a bit strange. Most criminals will fabricate some sort of lie to escape their crimes. And if that detective really wanted to prove that he is innocent, you'd think he would at the very least offer up eyes spaced out well on duty, or the like. Go on, Gumshoe. Time for your interrogation. Okay, sir. Dr. Bad. Get the fuck out of my fucking face, dude. Fucking Gumshoe, dude. Fucking Gumshoe. All he fucking had to do was just not be fucking Gumshoe for like 2 seconds. But no. Miles Edgeworth, I will go on ahead and report this to Papa. As they say is that. Right, everyone? Oh. I'm out of here. Well, I suppose we should both be getting back to our real jobs now, huh? No. Before we do miss you, there's something I'd like to speak to you about. What is it? Miss you? Fuck you. I don't like you. So, what do you want to ask me about? Tell me about the incident. The current case of the murdered embassy staff member. I've heard that people have begun calling it the second KG-8 incident. Only among you law enforcement types. What about it? I mean, just fucking tell me about it. I'd like you to tell me everything you know about the original KG-8 incident. I'm afraid I can't help you. I don't know anything beyond what was reported in the papers. No, I believe you know much more, since you were directly tied to the KG-8 incident. I'd appreciate if you stopped with the false accusations. Baseless outbursts are useless, both inside and outside the courtroom, don't you know? It's not baseless, is it? Yeah, the victim, Miss CCU. I mean, unless there happens to be someone else that just happens to have your exact last name. I do, but I also know that I do have a leg to stand on here. Think you could stop making that ultra-serious face in front of me? If you could please stop laughing for just 1 second. I'm not going to make any headway with this, like this. I'm just going to have to show her exactly how related to the KG-8 incident she is. Fuck, I didn't mean that. Fuck. I'm sorry, game. Miss you. I believe that I have proof of your connection to the KG-8 incident. I mean, it's pretty hard proof, yeah? That file is your proof. Very well, then. Why don't you tell me exactly how I'm related to the KG-8 incident? For the victim. Your connection to the KG-8 incident is through the victim. I mean, it's kind of obvious. I just had to fucking read, like, the headline, dude. It's not that hard. Even I can solve that. The victim's name is CCU. You will note that she has the same last name as you. Can you really still tell me with a straight face that you are not related to this case? Sorry, but we're not related. What? Just kidding. You asked that question with such a serious look on your face that I can't help but Miss Yu, I ask that you please tell me the truth. Alright, I'll tell you everything I know. As you guessed, the one who reported the smuggling activities of the Amano group was my sister Cece. As I thought. And she was killed right before she was to testify at the impending trial. By Manny Kochan. But because he was tried once and was acquitted, he gets to live out the rest of his cushy life completely carefree. All because of a lack of evidence. Gotta love that fucking double jeopardy meme. No, I heard that the evidence to convict him did exist. What? I heard it from Mr. Faraday himself after Mr. Kochan's trial was over. Apparently that a man in black made off with the most important piece of evidence. And the evidence had been tampered with. Isn't it just like a criminal to do something like that? The smuggling ring began being run out of the Amano group by one of its secretaries. They bailed Mr. Cochin out. Turns out they were in league with each other all along. How big was that smuggling ring? Was it a large operation? I don't really know. Which is why I wanted to become the lead defense. On this case, the people are calling the second KG-8 incident. But I haven't learned anything new at all. I was probably expecting too much, I know. You mean you think this case has nothing to do with the smuggling ring? I don't know what to think. Tell me about Manny. Why did Mr. Cochin want to meet with you earlier? Actually, he came to watch the trial. Apparently, he only found out that I was the defense lawyer on this case after he'd arrived. He figured he would say hi. And one other thing. Looks like you couldn't resolve anything this time either. Too bad. What's that supposed to mean? Oh boy, stop it with the scary face already. I'm fine. Really. I gave him a good slap across the face. The way she talks about slapping him as she laughs it away. As she laughs it away. It's kind of creepy. But it's just as Mr. Bad said. He's not related to the double murder. I asked random people in the gallery claimed that he was in his seat the entire time. Doesn't mean he didn't hire someone. Talk about cruel fate. Well, this is about all I know. Sorry. I guess I wasn't much help, huh? That's not true. I'm sorry I made you recall such a painful time in your life. Edgeworth, you really are too serious for your own good. You really need to learn to relax. We wouldn't want you to die of stress, would we? Thank you for your advice, but there's no need to worry. I work in my own way, and I will catch this criminal in my own way as well. You'll see. I assume she, dies at some point because, or she did it. Always possible. Because otherwise, why didn't she show up later? Look at you with your game face on, ready to go. I'm making no such face. Did you know? Laughter is the best medicine, Edgeworth. Don't you get tired of making such a serious face all the time? I'm charged with making sure that all the criminals of this world are found guilty. I have no need for laughter. There you go, making that face again. Oh well. I've got to get going. I still have a few loose ends I need to tie up. The KG incident in this murder investigation. It is my belief that these two cases are related to each other somehow. Plus that Detective Gumshoe. It's obvious he's lying, even though that lie is hurting his chances. Clearly this case is far from over. But whether or not that detective is the murderer can only be determined once I have completed my perfect investigation. Mr. Von Karma, I swear to uphold your honorable name, or my name isn't Miles Edgeworth. Thanks, kid. You're still too good for Von Karma. Nice jingle. Ooh, oh boy. District Gorrolavi. Fucking Gumshoe. So, what is to become of the trial into the embassy staff member's murder? Indeed. Since both the suspect and the prosecutor are not dead, the case will be dismissed. In other words, the trial ends here prematurely. Huh. Looks like you'll have to wait just a bit longer for your big debut. I suppose it can't be helped. Evidence for this trial will be transferred to you in a little while. Sir, what do you think about the murder of the embassy staff member? And the murders of the Mr. Faraday and Mr. Rell? What an outrageous circus it had all become. That Faraday brought it all upon himself with his naivete. An outrageous circus. Right, sir. Don't grow weary of this topic, Edgeworth. I will have you assigned to a different case. Papa, You'll come and watch my courtroom debut next, won't you? I'll consider it. Sir, if I may please allow me to continue with my investigation. Whatever for? I know that there is already a suspect in the murder of Mr. Faraday and Mr. Rell. However, there is not enough evidence to prove that it was he who committed the crime. I like to continue investigating in order to find the perfect proof of his guilt. The perfect proof? Don't make me laugh. A worthless person like you has no right to claim such a thing as perfection. Thanks, Dick. Papa? Who do you think is the real culprit behind these murders? Miles and I, we're competing to see who can find the real killer first. Plus, being able to investigate a real crime scene is a really rare opportunity. You'll give us some real-life experience, wouldn't you agree? If you want to investigate this case that much, then do as you wish. Then you're allowing us to continue. In court, your top priority is to win, as a solid evidence investigation is one of the keys to winning. We have to make sure you become recognized as a first-rate prosecutor, don't we? It wouldn't be very interesting otherwise. I'm returning home now. Edgeworth, Francisca, see to it I'm not disturbed. Save for the results of your competition. Yes, sir. Of course, Papa. Francisca, thank you. What are you thanking me for? Your logic earlier was built on that security detective's lie. That means the competition is still on. Yes, just as you wished. I couldn't let you get off so easily. Now then, let's see how well you fare on the investigation from here, Miles Edgeworth. I know I don't have enough information yet, so my first order of business will be to question anyone involved in this case. What the fuck is this dude doing? I can't stop the water, sir! It seems the man who was here earlier broke it by drinking from it too much. Bunch of fools who pretend to not see the foolishly foolish actions of a foolish fool. Well, then why don't you lend the officer a hand? As if I should have anything to do with this. Besides, that water-drinking fool's mouth is a thing that the officer should be covering. Let's give that officer a description of the water guzzler later. She seems to have quite the grudge. Sounds to me like someone wanted a drink. Yeah, she is pretty thirsty. Hey, dude? Sir, nothing to report, sir. Is there no one who will make this man take responsibility for his actions on the job? Looks like we have no choice but to report this to Papa. Then this guard can have fun in a waking nightmare after being awakened from its dream. Actually, let's not. I kind of feel sorry for him now. Kind of like that she just falls around. What's it me? I tell you, I didn't do anything wrong. Yes, I understand, so let's just calm down, okay, buddy? I doubt I'll get anything useful from the detective while he is this agitated. Wow, this thing is incredible, so incredibly detailed. My inner modeling fanboy's impressed. I'm not exactly a fan of plastic models per se, but even I can sense the superb quality of this model. I simply cannot comprehend how that man can feel so much love for such a trifle. Oh, I see. You're a disciple of my father. So you would do well to guard yourself against an interest in such unproductive things. Yes, perhaps I should take up whipping people like the young lady over here. Oh, I didn't mean to... Okay, whatever. Yes, what is it? Feels like there's a whole backside to this case we're not seeing. And here we had thought that it was a case where the two men had killed each other. We're lacking in information. And as a Von Karma, I can hardly call this a perfect investigation. Indeed, it is as you say. I can't believe we agree on something. Just what is so revolting about agreeing? Anyway, our first move should be able to speak with everyone related to this case. Indeed, even if you had not said it, I was planning to do so anyway. Fuck you. What was that lash for? It's you. Oh, it's you. Fuck! It's you, Edgeworth. And who are you? Wait, you were that at the crime scene just now, weren't you? You should be disbarred for not knowing who I am. I'm Franziska von Karma, and I'm about to become the successor to the family name. About to? I guess that means that for now, you're still just another kid. In which case, it's only natural that I didn't know who you are. What? Ah! Why are you whipping me? Anyway, it looks like they're planning to hold the evidence a bit longer. If there's one thing I can't stand, it's waiting. Terribly sorry, but I have a few more questions to ask of you. Look at you, eyebrows scrunched with lines on your forehead. And that to ask of you. What exactly is so funny? I'm sorry. I'm just bad at dealing with the super serious atmosphere. Apparently, they failed to teach you proper behavior at the crime scene in law school. Whew, I feel much better now. So what is it you want to talk about? I'd like to inquire as to where you were at the time of the murder. You were in the defendant... we were in defendant lobby number 1 the whole time up until we heard the gunshot. And by we, I mean Mr. Bad. If you don't believe me, you feel free to ask him yourself. You're with Detective Bad. Why? We had a little something to discuss, that's all. So I take it that you are acquaintances with Detective Bad. Yes, he was the detective in charge of the KG-8 incident. Detective Bad is also related to that incident. That's right. He was the one who was supposed to protect my sister, Cece. But you know how that turned out, don't you, Mr. Edgeworth? Miles Edgeworth, I have no idea what you two are talking about. I've heard of the KG-8 incident from my papa, but how does that case relate to you, Miss Yu? The case of that case, Cece, the victim of that case, Cece Yu, was my little sister. You're making that super serious face again. I'm fine, really. I just make it a point to rub some more salt in his wounded pride every time I see him. The way she talks about doing that as she laughs away is kind of creepy. Oh, speaking of Mr. Bad, he and Mr. Faraday, I'd say they met up just about every single time the Garasu made a move. It was particularly practically a given that the two would meet up at every one of the crime scenes. Yeah, because he is the dude. I see. He did mention that he was in charge of the investigation earlier. Maybe I should ask her what she knows about that in detail. You claim at the time of the murder you were with Detective Bad. But don't you lawyers usually discuss the trial with your clients during a recess? We do, and that's what I was planning to do. But Mr. Faraday was being rather threatening, and he dragged Mr. Rell away. After that, Mr. Bad came into lobby number 1, so we just stayed there and talked. What did you talk with Detective Bad about? Nothing interesting. I just insulted him with some. Talked about how the trial was going. Then I insulted him some more. Bloody, when she's not laughing, her mouth seemingly spews nothing but insults. A vile woman. How dare she? Anyway, Mr. Bad and I were in defendant lobby number 1 when the murders occurred. So I really can't tell you anything about the hallway or lobby number 2. Let's see. Tell me about Mackerel. I'd like to ask you a few questions about your client, Mr. Mackerel. Now, your client first claimed to be the duder. Is that correct? Yeah. Once I heard that it was the thief that had made off with evidence of KG-8, I began to ask Mr. Rell all sorts of questions, but to no avail. Turns out Mr. Rell was not the great thief. He had just made that up. He made it up? Mr. Rell's crimes were caught on tape by the security cameras, but there is no footage of him sneaking into the embassy itself. Hold on for just 1 second. Then you mean to say that you knew he was not the real great thief, and that he was just another cold-blooded killer, and you were ready to defend him? Yes, that's right. I see. So a defense lawyer is actually just someone whose job it is to cover for criminals. And that's why defense lawyers are so detestable, but they are no match for us Von Karmas. I don't believe it. You're serious. Why don't you save that face for something really worth being serious about? And Edgeworth, do you remember what I said earlier? I have my own agenda. I'm still on the hunt for leads regarding the KG-8 incident, alright? And for that, you have not a single qualm about defending a known killer. Don't put words in my mouth. I said no such thing. The only way I had to get close to Mr. Rell was to be his lawyer. I had no intention of covering for him, ever. So don't you dare suggest I was going to. I'm sorry, forgive my rashness. Awkward. Miss Yu, I was wondering if you could tell me about the Great Thief. I don't really know much about that character myself, but I do get a lot of consultation requests from companies to defend them. Requests from companies? The Great Thief isn't some petty thief out for money, you know. Alright then, perhaps the Great Thief is in the business of stealing people's lives. You're not very funny or witty, are you, Little Miss Von Karma? Francisca, be careful about who you whip. Choose carefully or we may be sued by— There, I chose carefully, just like you wanted. That just now was hilarious, little missy. Of course it was. What is wrong with these two women? Why does my pain give them delight? That's sadism. And so in the end, what is the Great Thief? I have to say, I've never ever even heard of this thief when I was in Germany. The Great Thief deals in information, namely in digging out dirt about backroom dealings and the like of companies. The Great Thief is a vigilante who steals such info and then makes it public for all to see. Vigilante or not, this person sounds like just another criminal to me. I suppose you could put it that way too. But either way, I get a lot more clients now thanks to that thief. Sounds like Miss Yu is profiting nicely.